Hi everyone, I'm James from Target Archery UK. In support of Mental Health Awareness Week, I'll be creating a series of videos alongside Archery GB Improve Your Game to look at the profound impact that archery can have, not just on our physical, but on our mental health. Before I start talking about archery, I want to talk a little bit about what obsessive compulsive disorder is. Many people have heard of OCD, often characterised by a need for neatness or tidiness. Not many people realise the debilitating effect it can have on a person's life. Like many of the 815,000 people in the UK who suffer with OCD, my particular brand has nothing to do with neatness or tidiness. It started with checking, then double checking, then triple checking. Before long it was taking me hours to make sure I'd locked the door before I left the house. Soon it started to spread to my driving. That was often known as hit and run OCD. Did I just cause an accident? Did I just run someone over? Did I just kill someone? Until you're compelled to go around and check. Drives that should have taken minutes were taking hours. Before long, this started to affect just leaving the house. I couldn't walk down the street without double backing, making sure I hadn't dropped something or left something behind. Eventually, I just stopped leaving the house altogether. Would often end up going days without eating. Eventually, with friends, family and colleagues growing increasingly concerned, my brother convinced me to speak to somebody about it. Before speaking to a specialist, I had no idea that this is what OCD could be. Finally getting a diagnosis of OCD and generalised anxiety disorder didn't change anything, but it categorised it, finally gave me something to stop ignoring and to start treating. Unlike many, I was incredibly fortunate to be well supported during my recovery process, both by the Army and RAF medical services and the NHS. Although my condition was ultimately deemed incompatible with military service, with their support along with the help of friends, family and colleagues, I was able to get my life back on track. During my recovery process, I'd constantly heard that sports can have a massive beneficial effect on mental health and well-being. On a biochemical level, doing exercise releases a flood of chemicals into the brain that people with mental health disorders often sorely lack. After starting archery, however, I realised sports can go much further than that. Before my first beginner session, I was incredibly anxious. I had no idea how my OCD was going to react to this new environment. I wasn't even sure how I felt talking about my OCD at the time. So when it came to meeting the instructor, I wasn't sure whether I was even going to tell them. Eventually I decided it was probably the responsible thing to do. I was glad I did, because we were able to talk about what would be going on, and we were able to put in place some measures to make sure it never became an issue. An hour later and I'd fallen in love with the sport. I couldn't wait for my next session, and a week later I had my certificate in one hand and a shiny new bow in the other. I was hooked. Obsessed, almost. I felt compelled to improve, to beat my last score. But it wasn't a disorder. I'd found a new way to channel my OCD, something else to put the energy into, something to look forward to that helped me overcome my OCD so that I could get down to the range. So that's my backstory, that's why I do archery, and that's why I'm making these videos. In the next video, I'm going to look more in depth at how archery has helped me with my OCD. And if you've had a similar experience, I'd love to see you put them in the comments below. Archery is an amazing community where people help each other. If, like I was, you're a bit nervous about starting archery, I recommend you talk to your local club. Ask them a few questions or ask some questions on the many forums out there. I'm sure you'll find a community of archers who are more than willing to help in any way they can and answer all your questions.